listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey everyone, welcome to the program. We have a repeat guest on, and the reason why we have this repeat guest is because he was so popular the first time, didn't have enough time to tell all the different stories that he has had before. Noah Zelnik, the owner and operator of Moccasin Wallow Golf Club in Palmetto, Florida. He is a golf professional, just an incredible athlete, and he's been a tour pro caddy for somebody that I know that's going to be a future guest on here. So I figured we had to bring him back. Business updates. We're closing in on 14,000 subscribers here at Party Time, My Golf Story. And we have 320,000 views on YouTube, not to mention all the other listening and watching platforms. And that's all because of you, because you've liked the podcast, you've subscribed to it. So please continue to do so. That helps us a lot with the accountants, the bean counters, the nerds at YouTube and the other listening platforms, because it's all about the analytics. Big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party. A lot better than something named after a time of day or crustaceans. Beer on the golf course, not for everybody, because sometimes it makes you feel fat. Try a Party. Smooth, tasty, sneaky strong. Transfusion, the #1 seller. Party Drinks. If you don't have it if you're in the golf business and you don't have it and you want it, then check in with Paradise Craft Distributors, the exclusive distributor of Party in the state of Florida. And also a big thanks to the golf real estate pros of Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh from Suncoast Dreams, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. If your dream is to live on a golf course like Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast originates from, then get in contact with Gene and Vince, and I'm sure they can help you out. I know they can help you out. All right, let's bring Noah Zelnik back in here. Noah, did you get a haircut just because you were coming on the podcast?
I did. About 6:45. I basically went to my local Great Clips, which was just a short cart ride away, because we also live on a golf course, so it makes it that easy to go over there. And lady did me up right. I got back at about 7:10, and here I am.
Good for you, man. Thanks for cleaning up. You didn't have to, but yeah, you never look better. All right, so the haircut.
It couldn't look much worse, though. So I mean, it is one of those things.
Well, I mean, how bad was it? Was it time? I mean, was it really the podcast?
It was time. It was 10 weeks. My stepson got married November 8th, so I got a haircut about November 5th or 6th. So it was that time.
Okay, and a good shave as well. No, let's just talk about the golf industry right now and what's been a rough couple of months because of some things seen, some things unforeseen. I think the first thing that comes to most people's minds were the hurricanes, but there was more to it. How's everything at the club right now?
Well, I mean, we're still bouncing back. I mean, I got fortunate in terms of I had a couple of people that used to work for me that came back to work right after hurricane season. So they've really just been awesome in terms of the cleanup for us hurricane-wise. We lost about 55 grandfather oaks. And since I've owned the golf course, we're looking at about 200 oaks on the golf course. So we might have to rename the golf course Links at Moccasin Wallow just because of how many trees that we've lost.
Well, it sounds bad, but in some ways, is it helpful? Were there any like troubled trees that were maybe
absolutely?
Too much shade?
I mean, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade out of it. So, I mean, we've lost some trees, but what we've done is we've gained a lot of turf coverage and sunshine and airflow. And a couple of the trees came down behind 13, so where they had root damage, now we're not going to have that anymore. We've been able to dig up some stumps and really change the golf course for the better. I mean, the turf coverage is fantastic. Our greens are rolling about 12 and a half every day. I mean, and for a public low end, price public golf course, that's a great thing to have. Is you start the greens and work your way out from there. So we're really excited about the future.
Yeah, no question about that. You got to have fast screens. Not everybody can handle them, but it's kind of like a rental car. You don't want a slow rental car. You want a fast one. Whether you can handle it is up to you, but everybody wants to try. And you had a West Florida Golf Tour event there. How did that go?
That was great. It was good to have. The tour hadn't come back since COVID. I mean, we hosted the first event after COVID. For a few reasons, course it struggled a little bit condition wise. So we really got the golf course back in shape, and the guys couldn't be happier with the tees, fairways, and greens. And 67-1 they played off Monday, so it was really just a fun way to get it in, and I think everyone was happy. We played it as a par 70. We played a couple of the tees up on par 5s. As a par 70, Moccasin Wallow is really, really good test of golf.
Yeah, indeed it is. So you sent me a video, and I was kind of wondering if you were setting me up, because I said, no, I know you got good stories. I want to go down. And you sent me a video of a driver in the drink at the Players Championship. And I had forgotten that you caddied for Michael Bradley. Now, I was supposed to caddy with Michael Bradley yesterday, but the weather was so cold and rainy that no golf was played on that day. But why don't you take me back to how his driver ended up in the water at TPC and what became of it?
So it really goes back to the second hole at TPC. It was actually our 29th hole. And at the time we were tied for third at the Players. And Michael kind of held on to one, and it went high right into the trees, but we found it and ended up making 7 there, and kind of struggled the next few holes, and got up on number 7 and kind of made a mediocre to poor swing, as he would say. Let go of the club, but the club, when you let go of it, it kind of springboarded to hit the head and then kind of trampolined and went over the side. Now, I thought it was just a little hill that went down to the water. So I was standing on the bag, and then Louis Oosthuizen hit, and then Angel Cabrera hit. Comes over and looks at me and goes, agua. And I said, pescando? He says, sí, agua, swim, fish. So all of a sudden I look over there, and the driver is down in the water. Louis says, and I'm not going into Florida waters with alligators. That's just something I got to draw the line.
Smart, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Louis goes, "Oh, I'm the smallest. Just don't fucking drop me." And I'm like, oh, okay. So Michael and I get Louis in the wheelbarrow position. He's holding on with his left hand onto the bulkhead and trying to reach down and get this driver. And I'm like, this thing's down there like 6-8 feet. And he's like, I'm going to drop my driver. And so he's like, I'm not getting this thing. So then a guy come to the crowd says, hey, you want me to get it? I'll go in and get it. I'm like, okay. So this guy starts climbing down there. I don't know anything. I just see that there's a camera that's on a crane about 150 feet in the air. And I'm just kind of looking up at it, and I'm looking down, and this guy's like, I'm going in. I'm like, so I'm holding on to the guy's belt loop. Now, I'm telling you right now, I'm there for emotional support. I'm not there to hold on to this guy. I'm not going in the water. If he falls backwards, I'm letting go. But I'm going to let him think, I got you. So I'm holding onto the belt loop. This guy grabs another driver, kind of sweeps up the other driver, lifts it up halfway, hands it to Louis. He grabs the shaft. The day saved. He gets a driver. Turns out they have like 2.5 minutes of this on the telecast. They stopped the whole telecast to show this. You got Nick Faldo up there, Peter Jacobson up there describing it, and TaylorMade couldn't be happier because they're like, and Faldo's like, I didn't know a driver floats. So it was a pretty cool thing, and we get the guy's address and get a driver made for him, and it was great. And he stopped us almost for next year. He's like, oh, I got your driver. We were like, this guy's a little out there, but we're going to keep our distance and keep him outside of the ropes for now on.
So did Michael hold on to the driver a little bit more carefully the rest of the round? Did you make sure of that? Was there any
I never let him hit it again. There was only 2 holes left because that was our 16th hole. And as far as I was concerned, that driver was history for me because we ended up missing the cut by a shot. And I was like, I don't ever want to see that driver again. Now, granted, we did win with that driver, 3 months earlier. So I'm not too upset.
So you caddied for Michael for how long?
The first event I caddied for him was in Flint in 2000, Flint, Michigan. And we were paired with Freddie Couples there as well. And Brad Faxon made the cut, and it broke like a missed cut streak of like 11 events in a row for him. So that was my first event, but I was continuing to play. And then I went out and would try to caddy for him on the Corn Ferry Tour, which basically the Nike Tour back in time. And if I didn't Monday qualify, I would go out and, and caddy for him in a few of those events. So I probably caddied 20 events for him on the Nike Tour between 2001 and 2006, and then caddied for him at Tour School in 2006 and got through at second stage at Lake Jovita. He asked me to go caddy for him at the finals out in Palm Springs. Another exciting day. He hit 2-iron, 6-iron in the front bunker, hit it out about 8 feet. We were paired with Anthony Kim, who was not yet even a rookie on tour, and Bob Heinz, and Michael made an 8-footer to get his tour card on the number. We walk about 100 feet. After out of the scorer's tent, he goes, man, now I got to go play golf again. And I said, yeah. I said, why not? And he says, you want to go? And I said, sure. Well, we went out and played in 2007. But we were playing on a softball team, a rec league softball team. It was a humid night in March, right before the Houston Open. We played 3 events, and then he hit one off the top of the fence, was going into third base, but wouldn't slide, and his foot slid on the base, went off the side, and then literally the ligament ripped the bone off the foot, and he took a medical. So we were basically out there in 2007 for about 8 events, and then 2008, 14 events.
And
went back.
But you had success with him. You won twice?
We did. So basically, in 2009, he was playing out of the past champions category. We hopped on a plane, a second alternate, going to Puerto Rico. He got a text when we got off the plane on that Monday in Puerto Rico. He goes, well, I'm in. So I said, well, let's just go and see how we do. You take a Florida guy like Michael Bradley, who spent I want to say he probably made 50 or 60% of his career earnings on Bermuda, and probably 40% of the career earnings in the state of Florida, because he won 3 times in the state in the same week. He won Doral in 1998. I was there all 4 times. I wasn't caddying. I was playing Hooters Tour, and I tried to Monday qualify, and his wife's like, just stay. She had to go to a wedding. So we stayed at like the Hampton Inn across the street from Doral. And that was pretty cool because he ended up winning that, made a 6-footer to win. And then in Puerto Rico, we get down there. I said, well, let's see if we can ring the bell again. He was on the range talking to Pat, who was a Pat Sheehan, and they were talking back and forth. I mean, both older guys, past champion or veteran status, and they're talking about how the fields are getting smaller, and this was an opposite field event from Doral, which he won. So all of a sudden, Pat says to him, well, I can't get into events. And Michael says, the only thing you can do is play better. And, as luck had it, we ended up winning that week. And Michael says, well, I guess I'm going back on the PGA Tour again. So that was kind of a pretty exciting thing. So they call him in Puerto Rico El Jefe, and they call me Jefito. So he's the boss, and I'm the little boss.
the big boss and the little boss. That's cool. God, this is turning into the Michael Bradley show. He is going to be a future guest. I tried to get him earlier, but little technical problems. I think his iPad walked away with his son going off to college and everything. And,
probably.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right. I mean, my kids take my stuff to college. No. That's what kids do. They take their parents' stuff and they go to college and act like nothing happened. But we'll get him back. But he actually caddied for you one time. What was that all about?
So in 2000, I went to tour school. Michael, like I said, had lost his cards, but his agent had told him, don't worry, you'll get in 15, 20 events, past champion category. I mean, Michael had the first upset in the World Golf Championship events. So he beat Mark O'Mara the year at the match play, like 6-4 or 4-2 or 5, one of those. It was a pretty handled win. And Mark O'Mara had just won the Masters and the British Open that year. So that was the first match play at La Costa. So I had spent a lot of time at Bloomingdale and playing with Michael. So we would help each other with golf swing and practice together a lot. And
hold on for just a sec. Explain for those that don't know where Bloomingdale is and what it was for people developing their games, tour pros, mini tour pros. Why don't you describe it so they have a better picture?
So back in the day, Golf Week magazine was literally a newspaper. And I read that like the Hebrew Bible. I'd read it from back to front because the first thing I did was go get the scores. Well, always on the scoreboard of all the mini tour events, developmental, PGA Tour, you name it, they had all the scores and the purses and the payouts. And this is before there was internet. So back then, Golf Week magazine was it. I mean, this was weekly. You would wait, and if you got your name in that magazine, you played well. So, but right under the scores, there was always an advertisement for Bloomingdale Golfers Club. Bloomingdale was famous. They advertised as the best place to get a game. There were 250 single-digit handicap members and 75 mini tour developmental tour players. So 1 year between Bloomingdale and River Hills, we had 8 guys playing one PGA Tour event where guys had Monday qualified or had tour cards. Lee Jansen played out of there, Michael Bradley, Steve Stricker, Marco Dawson, Steve Rintoul, who's now the director of rules and operations for the PGA Tour. It was just a great place to go and learn and get a game. And that's why. So I drove straight down. I said, next snowfall, I'm getting out of Ohio. It was December 10th. It was my birthday. It was 2:00 in the morning. I walked down the steps at the Buckeye Alley Cafe. Guys looked at me like, what are you going to do now? It's snowing. I said, I'm going to leave. And I hopped in my car at 7:45 in the morning, and I drove straight down 71 to 75 out of Columbus. And that's how I ended up on this coast of Florida as a New Yorker, because most New Yorkers end up on the other coast because they end up on 95.
Well, it's yeah, you're right. And it mellows them out a little bit. It mellows you. You're from the Bronx, born and raised, right?
Born and raised. I used to play tennis in the shadows of Yankee Stadium at a place called Stadium Tennis Center. If I got done playing early, I would run over to the train, pay my $1, take get the token, and go watch the game from the right field from the tracks. You could actually see right field. Center field was kind of blocked by the scoreboard, but you could still see part of the game from the train tracks.
And then golf came in the picture based on summer camp, and it was really like an afterthought?
Yeah, well, when I was 5 years old, my dad had a set of clubs. They were Croydons. They had leather grips. I took a big shovel, dug a hole right in the... My dad had a hard time with a green thumb with growing grass in the Bronx. So I actually dug a trough that went for about 30 feet, and I dug out a hole and put a tennis can in there. I never missed a putt on that little putt that I had. It was like goofy golf, but the ball would always stay within the track and go down, and I'd make every putt. I wish I could do that today, but it's just not the same.
Me too. But then at summer camp, it was an extra activity, so you start playing. And you got what's the first posted round you ever, the first full 18 holes?
I shot 100. I was practicing for 2 weeks. You hit balls on the range there, and then you go out on the golf course. They finally let me go play the course. I shot 55, 45, and shot 100. I didn't break 100 the first time out, but I shot 100, and that was pretty good. And
you're how old then?
I was 13.
All right. And how soon are you shooting consistently in the 70s and then better? Because
I would say
good fast.
2 years. I would say I was about 15. I was shooting in the 70s. It was a par 70 place called Dunwoody Golf Course in Yonkers, and then Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. Those were my 2 home golf courses. I didn't grow up at the Silver Spoon, didn't have a country club membership. Golf wasn't anything in my family. Everyone was tennis players. So I just kind of, being the youngest of 3 sons, and my dad played 5 sports in college. It was kind of one of those things where I could compete in golf and beat everyone in the family. So I kind of stuck with that.
what's the Fred Couples story and the headlock?
So the headlock story. So Daniel Chopra, who plays the West Florida Tour, he hooked one left on number 18 at the Golf Club of Houston. It was called Redstone at the time. And Freddie and I are walking off the tee. We're about 50 yards off the tee. And he goes, I'm not good with this. And Daniel was wearing this all black outfit, but he had this white cardigan sweater. He looked like Chewbacca almost in it. And we're just laughing, walking up the fairway. And he starts yelling at Kyle, was Daniel Chopra's caddy. He goes, Kyle. And Kyle doesn't hear him. He goes, Kyle. And he finally yells, Kyle. And he goes, what? He's, you're eyeballing me. I don't know. And Freddie looks at me. He goes, I'm not eyeballing anybody, but you guys are hitting it from back here. So all of a sudden we're walking up.
But the issue is a bad drop. Like
it's a bad drop. I mean, they were about 200 yards ahead of where they should have been. Literally, we made them drop about 50 yards off the tee.
Okay, you pick it up from there.
So then we're walking up the fairway, and Michael Bradley has 170 yards to the green, and it's windy, and basically we got 140 to the front. The pin's on 29, so it's 169 yards, but the wind's blowing probably 20 miles an hour. And I tell Michael, I said, look, it's only about 120, playing up 120 in the front. We can get pitching wedge all the way, not all the way back to the hole, but you get 150 out of it, we're rolling the rock here. So we hit it probably 25, 30 feet short of the green. Freddie's about 10 yards in front of us, about 160 out. Maybe
no. Hold on. It's on the green. It's just short of pin high.
We're on the green, just short of pin high. Yeah. We're about 25 feet short of the hole.
All right.
But we're playing front number. Yeah. No, it's okay. Then Freddie gets up, and him and Joe LaCava are talking. Freddie airmails the green with a 9-iron, hits it probably 170 yards, 20 yards over the green. So we're about 100 yards from the green now, and we're walking up. And Freddie looks at me, and he goes, Noah. I just ignore him. Noah, what'd you hit? I don't say anything. Noah, what'd you hit? Now we're about 20, 30 yards. It starts walking back uphill. He goes, Noah, what the hell did you guys hit? And I said, are you eyeballing me? And he goes, you ball buster. And he puts me right in a headlock and takes me down on one knee. I got the bag on my back in front of about 15,000 people. He goes, man, you are some ball buster.
So it was funny. He wasn't trying to.
It was it was completely a joke. I mean, it was great. He gives me a hug every time he sees me. And I always remind him, so you eyeballing me? He goes, I'll never forget that. So I've had probably 5 or 10 people throughout the golf world, even when I'm not out there, they'll walk up to Freddie on ranges, Champions Tour event, say, you eyeballing me? And they'll always remember me for that. Yeah.
So for the headlock and for the Daniel Chopra thing, that's where it originated. Always. Okay. If I see him, I'm gonna bring it up.
So you eyeballing me? Absolutely. He'll remember.
Well, I'm gonna try that on you sometime. You eyeballing me?
That'd be great.
Any Joe LaCava stories? Because I mean, they spent so much time together, and Joe's a character himself, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely a character. I mean, Joe was from up in Danbury, Connecticut, not far from me, and they were actually going to come up to the Catskills because I used to work at a place called the Concord Hotel. That was the original Monster. Dirty Dancing was based after the Concord Hotel, and I lived that life working at the hotels in the summertime, and the Concord Monster was great. And so we had hotel guests back in the 60s and 70s, Doris and Al Caskell. Well, they said to the owners of the Concord, to the Parkers, like, we want to have our own Monster. Well, they ended up getting one, but there was kind of a little litigation because theirs is called the Blue Monster. So if you know Doris and Al Caskell, you put their two names together, Dor and Al, that's Doral. That was how the Concord, they named the Blue Monster after Doral because the golf course was so good at the Concord.
Wow, I didn't know the backstory on that one, and I knew Dirty Dancing was based in the Catskills at the old Jewish resorts, but I didn't know the exact place. So that's pretty cool. How's your golf? Are you playing much anymore?
I played 9 holes the other day with my buddy Chip, who works for Sky Caddy. He's probably GPSed about 4,000 golf courses around the world for Sky Caddy. But we have a new thing. So at the Mock, we have 18 holes that can play all the way back to 7,000 yards from the championship tees. And then what I did was I built a family tee, and it starts in the fairway, and it's 3,700 yards for those older. As people get older, they can go and play the I have like an orange set. It's family tee, so you can play an executive golf course but still play with your buddies, and we just want everyone to enjoy themselves. I mean, I'm a full believer in tee it forward, because most people do not play the correct tees. You know, when you only hit it 200 yards, you don't need to be on the white tees and hitting 3-5 woods into par fours. It's just not fun. So I'd rather see people have a chance to make birdie from the forward tees. If you hit it 200 yards and you hit it 130 yards for second shot and you got a putt for birdie, enjoy it. There's no shame in that game at all.
No, it's what I don't play the back tees anymore. I can't. I'm 2 up from the back tees, and yep. That's enough. That's enough golf for me. How is golf right now? Like competitive golf, in your opinion? We've got different things going. We've got the PGA Tour, which is totally redone itself, but it still looks the same to me. There's just fewer opportunities there. Then you got Live, and now we got Tiger's Indoor League. How is the state of golf? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I forgot that TGL was on last night. I did watch the first 2 episodes. And I call them episodes. I don't call them tournaments. I don't know if it's a game. I don't know what TGL is. It seems like it could. I want to see someone like Kevin Kisner drink. I want to see guys drinking out there, because to me, it's like going to Top Golf with a bigger screen. I think it's going to sell a lot of birthday parties, when I don't know if it's necessarily going to make it. Live definitely has more of the entertainment value for me. I don't know the names. I mean, I know the Champions Tour players way better than I know the guys on the PGA Tour. I don't recognize half of the names, even though, and I'm a golfer. I'm a golf pro. I watch TV, but there's nothing exciting about it. Live and the Champions Tour have the characters, and the characters are what sells. It was the Lee Trevinos of the world and the Arnold Palmers. They had swag, as the only way I can tell them. Chichi Rodriguez. Those were the guys that can tell a story. People love storytellers. The old-time golf pro, you went to the golf course at 5:30 in the afternoon, because the old-time golf pro, when he got off work, he went to the bar. He told stories of 4 guys in a car trying to play the PGA Tour in the wintertime and 4 spotting, or back then they were rabbits, and you just kind of went to get entertained by the golf pro. We have to understand that golf is in the entertainment, and if the product is not entertaining, it kind of gets canceled.
I'm wondering what that is. I'm also wondering what that tail is. That's coming.
That's my cat.
Who's your cat?
That's my cat. My cat is Chelsea. So my father-in-law, unfortunately, we got him a cat. He passed away from Alzheimer's. I ended up inheriting the cat. So she kind of.
How's that working out?
She's a cat. I mean, a cat needs a lot of attention. Sometimes they're by themselves, but I also I bought a golf course dog a couple of years ago. So we have a puppy Labrador Retriever that's about 2 years old now, and she rides with me every day when I take my son to school. She rides around the golf course. It's just great.
Is there a better place in the world for a dog than a golf course?
No. I mean, so the breeder turned out lived 4 houses down from us, and she breeds champion Labrador Retrievers. So she didn't know who I was. And this was just 2 years ago. So I said to her, we really want to get a dog. We were looking at white English cream Goldens. And she's like, well, this is a lab. I said, same family, close enough for me. It's a retriever. She says, well, I have 1 puppy left, but this dog is going to need to be on like a farm or like a big land. I said, well, fortunately, I have 197 acres. She says, really, where? I said, I own the golf course, so this dog will be able to roam. She says, you got the dog. It was that simple. Went back, gave her deposit. 4 weeks later, we're the owners of a 8-week-old Labrador Retriever. Jelly Bean's awesome. She was part of a Easter litter. She's phenomenal.
Jelly Bean, how does she get along with the golfers? Is she a hit?
She's the friendliest. She's a hit. She's the friendliest dog. I actually played starter 3 Sundays ago. She just sat in the passenger seat of my golf cart. I got the iPad out there. Everyone comes over. I'm like yesterday's news. They come over. They pet the dog. It's like a good luck charm. She's just great. She licks you to death. She's definitely not a guard dog. She'll bark, but not much. She does not bark on the golf course. I had her out there during the playoff the other day, and she didn't move 1 inch. She was
so
awesome.
she gets it. She gets it. Huh?
She does get it. She does jump out and grab golf balls. That is her thing. If I let her run the power lines, and if she sees a golf ball, she's going sideways for it.
That's cool. Hey, another reason to come to Moccasin Wallow is just to see Jelly Bean and to see you. Noah Zelnick, our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by the Golf Real Estate Pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro, suncoastdreams.com, and also Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative, try Party. And Noah has Party at Moccasin Wallow. No, you're a great storyteller, but you tell me, who was the best storyteller that you ever knew associated with golf, professional or otherwise, and why? Maybe you can share one more story as we head on out to
I'm thirsty right now. I got dry mouth, but I keep on seeing the transfusion behind you, and that's my favorite. I'm actually definitely dipping into the profits with the transfusion because I have my own personal stash that I kept, and I'm out. So we're going to talk tomorrow about getting some more in there.
Not a problem.
I really like the dew, the morning dew, the transfusion, the breakfast ball. I mean, they're a hit at the golf course.
Okay, so, we could take care of that. Who was the best storyteller?
The best storyteller. Yeah. So there was a guy back in New York. He was a club pro named Jack Brino. Honestly, played the tour back with Arnold Palmer and a guy Chico Mayertes, and he was the guy that I went to the golf course at 5:30 so that I can listen to him tell old time stories of traveling the tour and rabbiting and Monday qualifying. And he showed me, he's like, man, I qualified for this tournament in Mobile, and I thought I was going to be awesome. And they only paid 5 spots, $2,000 to the winner. Now imagine going out Monday qualifying and 5th place was $250. But listening to him is where I kind of said, I want to be a professional golfer, just because the stories of rooming with guys and traveling the road, that seemed like a pretty exciting thing. Being from New York City, my travel was taking the 1 train uptown. It's not so much when the next thing you know, you're traveling by car. I mean, I've hit a lot of states by car. I mean, this summer alone, I drove all the way out to watch the U.S. women's amateur. My friend had 3 daughters play in it, which was the first time ever the 3 siblings played in it, and that was at Tulsa at Southern Hills. So that was an exciting time.
Who was that?
And my buddy Phil Smith, he played the mini tours with us. He was another Bloomingdale guy, but his daughter Molly was a freshman All-American at UCF. The daughter Morgan is now a sophomore at University of Georgia. She transferred in, but she was the Big East Freshman of the Year at Georgetown. And then the youngest daughter, Maddie, was 15 or 16, and she qualified also up in Washington, D.C., and she's going to go in 2026 to play at University of Memphis. So this guy's going to have 3 daughters all playing Division I golf at the same time, which is pretty cool.
Wow, I tell you what, and then with that, that'd be a heck of a foursome. I don't know if I want to meet them in a skins game.
Well, they also play the West Florida Golf Tour, believe it or not. They have a place down in Venice, so they play at the Plantation in the wintertime sometimes. They're down, and so it's a pretty good place at West Florida for players to dip their toes in the sand, I guess, or the water to see how good they are.
Yeah, well, you would know. You've played it, and you're good friends with Christian Bartolacci, the commissioner. And it was good to see the West Florida Golf Tour come back to Moccasin Wallow because of the past history, and renew some of that. And Christian is going to come back on the program again. He was our very first guest here. Sorry about that abrupt ending there. I think I hit the microphone or something, but the cutting Noah Zelnick off at the end, it was a problem on my end, operator error. But we'll wrap things up. Noah Zelnick, the owner and operator at Moccasin Wallow Golf Club in Palmetto, Florida. Go check it out. The new Moccasin Wallow with much faster greens and some of the damage taken care of after the hurricanes and everything. A lot more open air. The quality of the grass is great. Noah's a great storyteller. Go visit him and Jelly Bean at the golf course. And we'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by the Golf Real Estate Pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties in the greater Sarasota area. And big thanks to Party Drinks, the title sponsor as well. Try transfusion while you're at it. For Noah Zelnick, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.